I made the decision of what would it be like if we could put the banking industry directly on chain. So you've heard some of the other tokenized asset talks today. So the question is, instead of having like a Circle or a Tether in between, what if US banks put dollars directly on chain, including the XRP ledger? So that would mean that the ledger of record isn't some like old 50-year-old bank core. It's actually the blockchain. And so to do that, had to buy a US bank. And you can imagine, even though I'm ex-Federal Reserve, having worked at Ripple, made some other investments in crypto, it was not an easy lift. But last year we were finally approved. Might have helped that I ran for Congress, was going to make a stink.
Right, and here in Nevada, right?
Here in Nevada in the 2nd District. We purchased Fast Bank, OCC, nationally chartered Fed holding company, and we have one purpose, which is to put the US dollar on chain. What that means is these are FDIC insured US dollars, complete with Reg E chargeback protections, means if you get robbed, you get your money back, running on chain. And in particular, under the new administration with open banking and fair access, those dollars can be held by every person all around the world. So that means essentially everybody in the world has a US dollar deposit account, FDIC insured. So I'd ask you a question. You've heard about the new 5% tax. If you're on this ledger and you're sending money from, you're here under one visa and you're sending it back home to your mom, if that money never leaves being a dollar, never leaves the country, never even leaves the bank, is that a remittance? I don't think so. I think in this new world, if everything is on ledger, including the XRP ledger, it's just moving on ledger. What does it mean anymore to move money from one country to another? It doesn't really happen. It just all stays on ledger. And it's the XRP ledger that made that possible all the way back in 2012. That's really why I joined Ripple to this day. And so,
hey, what's going on, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. You are a genius for being here, and you're not going to believe what's shaking up the crypto world today. Picture this: the entire banking industry, yes, the trillion-dollar beast, potentially flipping upside down, moving straight onto the blockchain. But here's the kicker. While this massive shift is brewing, the crypto market just took a wild $335 million hit in 1 hour. Why? Geopolitical chaos. And yet in the middle of all this, one altcoin is making moves that could change everything. Are you feeling left behind? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. In the next few minutes, I'm breaking down the biggest crypto headlines, from Ripple's game-changing plans of putting banking on chain to President Trump's surprising stance on Fed Chair Jerome Powell and a massive $500 million XRP Treasury announcement. And these aren't just headlines, they're signals of where money is flowing and where you need to pay attention. So stick with me, because the crypto market waits for no one. And right now, it is the time to get ahead. And plus, here's the deal. Stick with me until the end, and I'm dropping an exclusive sneak peek into Altcoin Pro community, your ticket to staying one step ahead of the market. Plus, we will be heading over to X to check out all of the breaking news that's happening in the financial world today. We'll also check in on those numbers that came out today in the red folder news for the financial markets, and we'll also get an eye on what's coming out tomorrow. We will also be checking out XRP in the charts. How much worse is this going to get? And so much more in today's video. So if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day in the crypto news like we do for you here on this channel, make sure you subscribe today. Your future self will be thanking you. And if you're still feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777. Or if you feel like it is completely over, let me know by commenting 999 down below. But first, let's head over to CoinMarketCap and check out the overall health of the crypto market today. So we are currently now trading at $3.22 trillion. We're down 5.6%. This all just happened within the last couple of hours.
We just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers.
So as the market continues to bleed out, we need to stop at $3 trillion. If we continue to break below that, then we are going to be getting a new lower low, and market structure officially did not change to the bullish side of things. If we can break below 2.94 trillion, we're in severe trouble because of this last push. It did not break above the previous highs at $3.52 trillion, unfortunately not reaching previous all-time highs. Now the total market only has a new lower high. Now we did get $147 billion worth of trading volume yesterday. Fear and Greed Index coming in at 54. Yesterday was a 61. Last week was a 46. Altcoin Season Index sitting at 26 out of 100. Yesterday was 27. Last week a 22. Bitcoin dominance still holding strong, 63.8%, up 2.67%. So as Bitcoin tanks, all the other coins are tanking twice as hard. Bitcoin ETF flows tracking to the downside, minus $11 million. This week has been very positive to the upside already. This is the first down day. In fact, as you can see this week, so the last 2 weeks were outflows. This week was already pumping pretty hard, almost $1 billion to the upside before the losses of 11 million today, but 929 million for the week. So we were starting to really put this in. So this attack on Iran from Israel, will it last forever? Or is this just a short blip, a crazy drop? Fear in the market, instant fear, instant recovery. We'll continue to watch that for you. Top 5 cryptos by total market cap. Number 1, Bitcoin coming in at $103,000. Number 2, Ethereum at $24.97. Number 3, Tether at $1. XRP coming in at number 4 at $2.10. Number 5, BNB coming in at $643. And we'll wrap it up with number 6 here, Solana coming in at $144. So as we covered yesterday, we've actually been talking about it all week, but the numbers for unemployment claims did come out. And unfortunately, it was bad news for us. It was forecasted at 242,000 unemployment claims, but it came in hot, 248,000. I know it was only 6,000 more claims than not, but unfortunately it comes in as a red number. And that started the day off as a move to the downside for cryptos. The unemployment claims, for whatever reason, is a very, very big indicator for the Bitcoin price. When we have a good number for unemployment claims, Bitcoin likes it and goes up. When we have a bad number, it can react to the downside. So before the war, we were already having a reduction in price across the cryptos, a downside day, because of the unemployment claims numbers. Tomorrow, we will have consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. So not extreme importance, but it is still red folder news. But next week is the big week. And that's going to be the FOMC and unemployment claims again next week. But FOMC and the federal funds rate currently listed at 4.5. Donald Trump wants us to bring it down as a country to 3.5. Jerome Powell has been fighting him tooth and nail and telling him no, holding it at 4.5. And there is new reports coming out that it is not going to be moving. So we're going to continue to maintain steady with the forecast at 4.5. Unfortunately, that does hurt the economy. The lower that this goes, the more liquidity can be pumped into the markets, which means more people will be buying things. And when people buy things, they like to buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Heading over to X to find out what's going on. So Finance a Lot. By the way, if you're not following this guy, he's got some really great stuff. But from a technical perspective, he says Israel struck Iran in the exact right moment. And if they can crash the markets before June 20th, which is OPEX, that can create a vicious unwind of market maker positions. The VIX, which is the volatility index, contracts rolls occurred yesterday. And there was actually big news about the VIX going crazy yesterday. So it was planned. Actually, I mean, we've actually been seeing in X that Israel's threatening to attack Iran for the last week, but today was the real day. But people were preparing for this to actually happen yesterday. And just in $335 million liquidated from the crypto markets in the past 60 minutes after Israel launches a strike on Iran. So this could end up being an absolute disaster for the markets for a long period of time. However, if some good news comes out, as in they stopped Iran from being able to build a atomic bomb or some sort of nuclear weapon, that could be good news. and then immediately you'll see the markets pump back to the upside. So this is all developing literally right now as we're making this video. So we'll have to continue to watch this news overnight and tomorrow as well. And then an update, obviously we talked about the last 60 minutes, but look at this, over $1 billion was liquidated in the last 24 hours, with $943 million from long positions getting wiped out because of this instant drop to the downside. And even prior to the bombs being dropped and the crazy extreme drop to the downside, I saw this come out from multiple people on X, but Byzantine General posted as well. Is this a Binance data glitch? Because it shows that on the last dump before the massive drop, a $200 million long liquidation occurred, which is the highest one-day Bitcoin long liquidation in years. And there are reports circulating on X that this did happen. So if you can imagine being in a trade, leveraged out, and then all of a sudden price starts dropping on you and you went heavy and you lost $200 million. That is actually what happened to this trader. And so he participated into a big number of this $943 million of long positions that were liquidated. Also, big things coming out. I know obviously the price hurts. And this always happens for Ripple, unfortunately. XRP gets trashed. Every time some super huge positive fundamental news comes out, XRP dumps for some reason. But as we can see right here, Trident Digital announces initiative to raise $500 million for corporate XRP treasury. Another company, we saw Vivo was doing that, right? Also, today, that was just announced, USDC is now live on XRP Ledger. Now, remember all the crazy rumors and news that was going out talking about how Ripple wanted to buy Circle. Well, they ended up working together in one way or another anyway. So Circle goes public on their own, launching a massive IPO, very successful, one of the most successful IPOs in years. And then they come on chain with the launch of native USDC on XRPL. Developers, institutions, and users gain the support of the world's largest regulated stablecoin. So congratulations to Circle and congratulations to Ripple for pulling this off. But the news literally just keeps on coming for Ripple though. So check it out. Ondo Finance posting, we're bringing tokenized real-world assets to the XRP ledger. Ondo Finance's flagship short-term US Treasuries fund, OUSG, is now live on XRPL with seamless minting and redemptions via Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD. And then on top of that, Guggenheim, which we mentioned this one yesterday already, but just seeing how much great news is piling on, Guggenheim, a major U.S. investment firm, taps Ripple's XRP ledger to offer tokenized commercial paper. So obviously, huge huge fundamental news. But when you look at the technical analysis and the charts, which we will do here at the end of the video, unfortunately, we're to the downside. And in big news for crypto adoption, just in, the Apple App Store has officially approved Sarutobi, a Bitcoin-powered video game for in-app payments. So Bitcoin integration is breaking into mainstream gaming, another win for crypto adoption. So the Bitcoin gets adopted by Apple, massive news. And if you follow the markets at all, you probably understand the Dixie, the United States dollar value, is also very important to understand. As we saw with the unemployment claims, the red number is bad for the United States dollar. So we continue to see the price drop. This is actually positive news for Bitcoin, though. So if you're a Bitcoin fan, obviously the dollar dropping does help because it strengthens the claim that holding Bitcoin is going to help your savings long term, as opposed to holding liquid cash, the dollar, United States dollar. It continues to lose its buying power over time. And the US Dixie, the dollar index, falls below 98 for the first time since April of 2021. Just in, Coinbase partners with American Express to launch Coinbase One Card, offering up to 4% Bitcoin back on all purchases. And that is their Coinbase One Card. Pretty cool. And more Bitcoin adoption, Japanese video game developer Gummy purchases 1 billion worth of yen of Bitcoin. So that number of Bitcoins purchased is 80.352, an average purchase price of 12,430 yen per Bitcoin. As you saw in the intro of the video, this great post from Digital Perspectives, Grave Kid on stage at XRP Las Vegas 2025, which is happening right now, says, we are putting the entire banking industry direct on chain, yes, on the XRP ledger. And as you know, we've all been called conspiracy theories. We've all been called crazy for talking about XRP XRPL and the ledger and the company Ripple literally trying to do this, changing the whole entire banking infrastructure. And now we have two people confirming that. We have David Schwartz confirming it just yesterday and the day before. And now we have Greg Kidd coming out and confirming it at XRP Las Vegas today as well. And Trump coming out and saying he is not going to fire Jerome Powell. Now, we talked earlier about they are feuding. They are not best friends. They definitely don't like each other. Trump continues to say that the inflation is down, the economy is booming, we should be dropping interest rates. And Jerome Powell has been giving him the shaft and has decided not to do that. Just in as well, $11.5 trillion BlackRock looks to become the world's largest crypto asset manager by 2030. And as you've been following along, if you're following this channel, make sure you subscribe today if you're getting value from these videos. But the regulatory shifts in 2025, including the SEC engagement on crypto ETFs, as noted by Blockchain Magazine, reduces the risks for giants like BlackRock. So potentially reshaping the crypto markets despite skepticism from ex-users about Wall Street's influence. So as you know, all of the banks were very scared to get heavily involved because they can't let their customers carry risk, right? They got to be as least risky as possible. Otherwise, their clients could get upset, which is totally understandable. But now that the government has come around, the United States government and the SEC and the different departments are all on board. We know Trump's the Bitcoin president, Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. You're noticing a lot of changing of the minds of these massive banking industry conglomerates like BlackRock. And speaking of banks buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and other tokens, just in, Fidelity buys 13,246 ETH worth $373 million. Billionaire Paul Tudor Jones says that buying Bitcoin is one of the best ways to fight inflation.
But it would be some combination of probably gold, vol adjusted, Bitcoin, gold, stocks. That's probably your best portfolio to fight inflation. Vol adjusted, because the vol of Bitcoin's obviously 5 times that of gold. So you're gonna do it in different ways.
You said at one point you would allocate 1 or 2% of your portfolio to Bitcoin. Is it still?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just, particularly now that the roadmap is clear, then I mean, again, if I'm a policymaker, I'm going to run really low real rates. I'm going to have inflation running hot, and I'm going to tax the American consumer to get out of my debt trap. And that's exactly what Japan, who's the most fiscally constrained in the world, doing. And it works until the population throws you out because you let inflation get too hot.
Now, one thing that people are starting to worry about is the centralization of Bitcoin, because if you remember, Bitcoin was originally created to basically fight the system, to down with the Fed scenario. Well, centralized entities now hold over 30% of Bitcoin's circulating supply, with institutional holds surging 924% since 2015, according to Gemini's latest report. So the good news is, if you've been in crypto for a little while, you own some Bitcoin, you were able to front run the government and mass Wall Street owning all of something, right? So you were in before the major banks, you were in before the government. And that's what everyone was talking about years ago, is they wanted to get some sort of government adoption because that's the only way to really get the price to raise to where these people wanted. And that's why everyone says, when they make the Bitcoin price dip, they're doing it to make you sell your coins, right? Same thing with XRP and Ethereum. When they lower those prices, it starts squeezing that pressure on you. So you're like, oh man, it's never going to go back up. And then you finally sell your bag. Well, they're always there to buy it back up and ride it up to new all-time highs. And they're trying to basically weed out all of the normal people from being able to play in this game. So that's why now, not financial advice, of course, don't buy or sell anything as you talk about on this channel, but that's why I'm holding coins long-term as well. So you got your day trading bag. You can have some cryptos that you can play around with, the gamble coins, right? You can gamble with this allotment of your portfolio, but you should also have a portfolio that's, you put money in it, dollar cost averaging all the time, and it's in there for your retirement, just like you would be doing with the S&P 500 or NASDAQ, where you just put money in there. Your 401k grows over time. Well, you could do the same thing, but just load that money into Bitcoin and let it continue to accumulate. All right, so next up, we're going to head over to XRP in the charts. So a couple of things. One, we've been tracking our long-term momentum wave here, and it's called the Wolfpack indicator. If you want to use it, you can. The fast length I use is 10, and the slow length is 30, okay? So when we break above the zero line and we go green, it's bullish, as you can see here. When we break below the zero line, it tends to be bearish for a period of time. And right now, we are riding that level. Now, 2 days ago, we got very close to potentially breaking back above there, the zero line, getting bullish and getting exciting, rising back to the tops of this $3 range that we've been looking for. Unfortunately, we have now had a turnaround. Also, our short-term momentum wave, which we talked about, did get to 100. Now, we've also mentioned that once it gets to 100, it could stay there for multiple days and price can continue to rise. However, we are in the red. Our short-term momentum wave hit a 0 or hit the 100 and is now heading back towards the 0. So that, for the next couple of days, feels like pain. Now, I also mentioned we are using our spider lines. For those of you guys who have been paying attention, the spider lines are a support and resistance technique that I've learned from CryptoFace on YouTube. But this is where you take the weekly charts, the top of the weekly candles, and then you draw a ray, which is a tool on TradingView. It's called the ray. And you put it from the top of the candle and you extend it off the high. The pivot point is actually the high from 2021, which was April 14th. And those are the 2 points. And that gives you an extended ray into the future, which we're using for support and resistance. Now, what we talked about just yesterday and the day before really was when we talked about it, how price was surging to the upside. We talked about a potential pullback into this $2.25 range and bouncing off of our 10 exponential moving average. We had to hold that. If not, we could see a breakdown from there and we could eventually see a drop. And then I mentioned that there is a pretty heavy duty support here at $1.90. So at this point, we have a couple of negative scenarios lining up for us on XRP. One, we are bearish, short-term momentum. Two, we have just flipped from 100 heading back to 0 on the short-term momentum. And three, we have a $1.90 spider line waiting for us down here. Now, there is a couple of liquidities that we could be grabbing and not have to head that far down. For example, we got this one here and we have this one here. So as price comes down to these levels, and then this level, and then this level, and sweeps those lows, well, it could then rebound from those levels. However, the reality is price looks like it has a lot of momentum to the downside right now. There's news, obviously, of the war just breaking out. Right now, Israel has officially bombed Iran. Iran has not responded yet, so we're going to find out what happens with that. So a lot of that is downside turmoil. Now, if for some reason, tonight, overnight, that Iran comes out and says, hey, you guys hit our nuclear facility. We don't have nuclear weapons anymore. And then all of a sudden, ceasefire. We don't want to, you guys are too strong. We don't want to fight back with our weapons or whatnot. Then we're going to see the market rebound. But ultimately, right now, that is not what's probably going to happen. So right now, price could continue to drop back down to $1.90. And $1.90 really does have to hold. Now, a couple other key things. If we're using our 1100 exponential moving average, when we look at our 4-hour 1100 exponential moving average, we came here once and we came here twice. We're now here a third time. We broke through it. Let's look at the 5-hour 1100 exponential moving average. So now this gives us a good target to see as a support level. Right now, that's $2.04. Also looking at our long-term momentum, even the 5-hour just broke to the downside, looking bearish there for us as well. So a lot of different factors. Let's look at the 1 hour. The 1 hour is obviously extremely bearish right now, unfortunately. Let's look at the 3-day. So the 3-day had a nice candle push 2 3-day candles ago. And then we got a doji candle, which is a very bad candle to get, a reversal style candle. And sure enough, this candle is returning. Now, this is currently, there's 1 day and 23 hours left, meaning 1 day did that entire damage. We still have 2 days left in this candle, and we are in bearish territory on the 3-day as well. We're also maxed out though down here at 0 for the 3-day candles. So there's some positive notes, but that has to happen after this 3-day candle closes. We look at the weekly chart, and on our weekly chart, we are still actually bullish. Now, the interesting thing is we have had this massive push to the upside. It's been a very large range, right? I mean, we're ranging from $1.90 all the way up to $3.40. So it's been a crazy range. It's a $1.90, so $2 to $3.40. So basically a $3 range that we've been going up and down in. And remember, we sat at 55 cents for nearly 2 years before our pump. So the positive thing is if you were in down here, you're still in profits and you're probably still a long-term bag holder. You probably still believe that XRP is going to run the entire financial markets. The New World Order coin is the XRP coin. So these little fluctuations don't bother you because you're already up 4 to 5x anyway from down here. If you're new to XRP, well, you could be a little bit more worried about what's going on. Price definitely could be coming back down to this $1.91 range. Now, on the weekly charts, a couple of things to keep in mind. The last couple of weeks, so 3 weeks ago, price came down, bounced off the 30 exponential moving average. Last week, price came down, bounced off the 30x. This week, we have just pulled back into this range, and we're bouncing off of that 30 exponential moving average as well. So a lot of things give us some support in this area right up in here. So we need to see a great bounce. If we don't, we can come down to this $1.90 level. So keep the $1.90 level in mind to the downside for XRP. When we're looking at Bitcoin here on the weekly charts, what is interesting is from our previous highs, these highs that came up over here, which we had 108,000 and then even pushed up to 109,000. And that right there gave us a bearish divergence. Now, a lot of people didn't pay attention to that as a bearish divergence. But as you can see right here, the wick of this price got up to this level and the wick of this price got up to this level, while the momentum indicators here were coming to the downside. And sure enough, we had a crazy drop after that. Now, what's really interesting is from this level right here on the weekly indicator to this level right here is another bearish divergence that has occurred. And we even got the bearish divergence indicator flashing that right here. We are also maxed out at 100 on the short-term momentum, so we could have a reset to the downside. Momentum is dropping. This is dropping. There's 2 days, 23 hours left in this candle. Now, the positive news here, because I mean, if we do start to drop, it'll be a significant drop. That is a very large bearish divergence. And we can look at this little tiny bearish divergence. Price ran from 109,000 all the way down to 75,000. So that was a big drop. Now, what we have coming in mind right now, though, is the 10 exponential moving average on the weekly has been holding strong for Bitcoin thus far. So if price comes back into this $100,000 range, we maintain above 100,000, we could then see a resurgence to the upside. As we look at our 3-day charts, our 3-day momentum, short-term momentum has reset to the downside. We are still above the 0 line, so we're bullish. That could definitely turn back to the upside. But again, there's that bearish divergence that has appeared right here. And on the 3-day chart, we have broken below the 10 exponential moving average. So the next level would be coming down to the 30, which is 99,300. And when we look at Bitcoin on the daily, it's getting close to breaking. As we know, XRP has already broken down below the 0 line on the long-term momentum wave. And it's getting close on Bitcoin too. This could break down over the next 2 to 3 days. Last time we broke down below the 0 line was back here February 4th. And we stayed below there for quite some time. So if we look at February 4th, price was trading in the range of 98,000 and ended up dropping itself all the way down to 74,000. So we need some good news in the news, fundamental news to change the war narrative. Hopefully it comes to an end. Maybe a peace talk, ceasefire gets negotiated right away and we start to see a pump to the upside. Now, if you want to learn how to read the charts, you can join our school community. It is called Altcoin Pro University, and we have classes that teach you everything you need to know. The class for learning the charts is called Technical Analysis Essentials. You can get in here. We've got tons of training on how to do actual technical analysis, how to read the charts, how to get in there, do your own trades, and work for yourself in these markets. The link is down in the description below. Get started with us today.
Hey, bull runners, check this out. If you want to learn how to find the next 10x, 50x, or even 100x altcoin in this video, listen to this. Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and it's currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers.